Listen up, you sloppy jalopy son of a bitch, sitting on your fucking couch with your fucking phone in your hand, doing your armchair detective work, think you know what the fuck's going on. When was the last time you kept a 2-month social media challenge? Think I wasn't gonna say shit?
I'ma let y'all talk shit. If I had a fuck to give, I would give it. If you feeling froggy, you ain't gotta leave, all you gotta do is rip it. Putting on a zero fucks given exhibit. I got nothing to lose. Minute for minute, then a minute to win it. Sky's the limit. Sorry, officer, gotta admit it. Yeah, I'm over the limit. Left car down with a one-way ticket. Rolled up with it, sparked that bitch. Turning down with it, lit my lips. Piss excellence, bitch, I just shit it. Eyes for the hate on the crazy eights. Let's see y'all pivot. Ball my court, bounce back with number 24. Fucking shit footprint right off my image. Don't just love, cause you can listen. Double that sword, one side love, one side hate. Either way I glisten, I ain't dumb. What's he gonna say, what's he gonna do? Got him on the toes like a midget. At a urinal. Couple red roses on my gimmick. Couple tears at the funeral. They cry tears of joy at my funeral. Yeah, they cry tears of joy at my funeral. Still I rise from the ashes like a phoenix. Middle finger to the sky, gripping my consensual penis. Lying ass hoe out in Phoenix. When I say this shit, I mean it. Fuck you, Marks, I hate it. This for all my fans are waiting. Entertainment's hottest free agent. Bitch, I'm reincarnated.
Welcome back to the JM Report. I am your host, GoodOlJM, coming to you from CSB Studios in Tampa, Florida, the birthplace of pro wrestling. And as you just heard at the top of the program, for those who don't know, that was or is the artist formerly known as Enzo Amore, now going by Real One. For those who don't know or not aware, the now former Enzo Amore was released, or better yet, terminated by WWE earlier in the year due to a apparent ongoing investigation of sexual assault and rape charges that were later dropped for insignificant evidence. So Enzo Amore is a free man, an innocent man. And if you were able to pick up on some of the lyrics there, by the way, that track is called Phoenix. Ironically, this took place in the alleged assault and accusations took place in Phoenix, Arizona. Thus, the name of the track is Phoenix, and reflecting on what he went through, how he took it and letting out a bit of frustration. The song is about 3 minutes long, at least not including the intro, because if you watch the video, there's a bit of a little intro with an extra, I guess, an actor of sorts, arguing with his mom about doing chores in the house and him trying to watch the 25th anniversary TV show of pro wrestling on television. And that's when the Real One steps in and starts rapping. But true to his word, Enzo, or Real One, it's going to be difficult trying to refer to him as Real One moving forward. But Enzo Amore, the name is a copyrighted WWE property, so he's not allowed to use that outside of WWE or pretty much in any pro wrestling capacity. If he does choose to return to the ring anywhere for anyone or any promotion. So he's going with Real One. As I was trying to say, true to his word, Real One did appear in Times Square at around 9 p.m. this past Monday night, and quite a big turnout. And there are some video YouTube footage online right now. I believe TMZ has their side of things. I didn't see that one, but a great turnout for him. He was just outside Quad Studios, and he spoke to one particular fan, asking him questions. Doesn't seem like he's all that enthusiastic, if you will, to get back into the ring as he's now focusing on a new rap career. He wants to be a rap artist, and I say he has well, this coming from a guy growing up listening to Tupac and Biggie Smalls. Of course, from the New York area, there was Cypher Hills and House of Pain, and just to name a few artists. But to me, for lack of a better term, the game has changed. It's different today. I don't know. There are many artists out there who are doing well for themselves. Don't get me wrong, but some of the lyrics I don't feel are just as passionate. They're just rapping or ranting, venting at times just for the sake of it, and somehow with a proper track to go along with it, it makes for a decent sounding rap track, which is fine. Again, you know, this. I mean, who am I to say anything? Because I'm not a rap artist. You know, can't imagine how life for me would have been had I gone that pursuit. But as far as Real One goes, being from Jersey, Real One that is, and he seems to have the chops for it. But I don't know. I guess because times is different and the game has changed, so to speak, for the better, depending how you look at it. But I don't know. It just it's a different take to it. It's a different sound to it. I know Enzo is a big hip hop fan himself. He listens to rap all the time, as a lot of his promos have shown that when he was still with Raw. But I guess give him a chance, you know. But oh my goodness! Before I started this session, Jim Cornette, for some reason, decided to basically do his own audio commentary over at the Jim Cornette Experience, and we're listening to the track. I guess he's watching the YouTube video, as I did. He's listening, and you as the audience can hear it as well, and he'll chime in here and there, asking things like, or saying things like, "What the hell is he talking about? Did you understand what he said?" Clearly, Jim Cornette is not much of a hip hop fan or rap fan. He never said he doesn't like it. He just, you know, it's not his thing. And he's just basically burying poor Real One here. It's quite a listening into. If you haven't had a chance already to look that up on YouTube, and Jim Cornette's reactions to Real One's Phoenix track. And again, it's pretty funny. I can't do it justice just by describing it to you. So you got to check it out for yourself. But again, he pulled up. I couldn't tell. There were so many fans surrounding him, and Real One pulled up in what looked to be, at least from the point of view that I saw, like a Porsche with Lamborghini doors and a spoiler in the back. It wasn't dark, but then again, it wasn't properly illuminated either. But the car was pretty obscured enough for me to not able to tell what brand it was. But hey, I mean, he must be living it up, and I guess he's now hanging out with the entourage that that Conor McGregor's not using right now, and he's surrounded by these big dudes, and yeah, he's going the full-fledged hip hop artist routine, I guess. Not that he wasn't when he was still with WWE, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this career pans out for Real One, formerly known as Enzo Amore. And again, he was. I got to give him credit that he was true to his word, not only showing up in Times Square this past Monday night, but also taking the time to speak to the fans. And he's literally out there saying, "Thank you for your support. Thank you for standing by me," taking selfies, signing autographs. A true profession, for sure. And unfortunately, I can't say the same for a number of people, but that's based on my personal experience. So kudos to Real One, as we're, I guess, now going to have to get used to calling him that, or at least referring to him as Real One. His Twitter handler has not changed. I don't think anything from social media side of things in reference to Real One have changed at all. But he's moving forward. He is moving forward, and can't say good things enough about him until I guess his album officially drops, as he's still working on that. And we have only one track to go on. So if you haven't checked that out yet, Phoenix by Real One. And judge for yourselves. I mentioned last time there was quite of a huge business deal or deals going on And some more details have surfaced during the week, and they come from multiple sources, and I try to stitch them together best as possible. I got some printed out stories here. I got some screenshots and some web pages right next to me that I could read off some details of the deals between WWE and Fox. And right away, that came out earlier today, matter of fact, this June 1st, 2018, Dave Meltzer announced a rumor killer. Me personally, I'm going to wait till things settle down and pan out until the ink is dry on the contracts and we know for sure that these moves are happening. And if they make a formal announcement, whether it's through social media or during one of their live events on, well, as we speak, USA Networks. But the rumor killer was that the idea to bring NXT over to Fox Sports 1, according to Dave Meltzer, is not true and not happening. A couple of days ago, the rumors did begin to surface, and honestly, I thought that would have been, or would still be, a good idea. Honestly, I don't see why they don't at least experiment with it, give it a season or so, give it a trial run. Curious to know the time slot and the day of the week. If they keep it as right now, Wednesdays at 8 p.m. on their network, would it be completely off the network? Yeah, I'm sure they'll have on demands, obviously, but I'm speaking about their debuting original episodes of NXT. If it will be an option to catch it on FS1 or watch it on your own time and just log into the network and catch up with the current episodes. Me personally, if this happens and if it's still a possibility to move NXT over there, again, I say it's a good idea. I'm not sure how Wednesdays do. Well, I guess it depends what's in season sports-wise. Right now, there's the NBA Finals going on, and I believe the Stanley Cup Finals. So it won't be too effective if it's obviously only once a week, and unless you can multitask and have picture-in-picture going on, or watch one of them on your smart devices and the other on your TV. But I don't think it will affect it too much. I guess my only concern would be, okay, because Fox Sports 1 still broadcasts regular live events such as soccer and golf and other sports that I guess a common wrestling fan wouldn't watch anyway. So they probably won't air it at the 8 p.m. time slot on Wednesdays. Either it's going to be earlier in the day or maybe on an isolated time slot on the weekend when it's before. For example, this time of year before a baseball game, the earliest coverage is 1 p.m. So what are we talking about? 11 a.m. and the game starts at 1:30. So if there's no pregame show for the baseball game, maybe 12 o'clock, and save all that analysis for later post game or during the seventh inning stretch, But in short, I think the move will be a good one that gives NXT more exposure to those who don't follow it on the network and just watch some random YouTube clips or just follow through social media. And I say do it. Unfortunately, as it stands right now, it's a rumor killer, according to Dave Meltzer. And if the plans go through anyway, I bet you Meltzer will come out later and say, "Well, plans change. Things change. They change their minds." I don't think if that's the case. I don't think that change is going to come from WWE. If talks never happened, then I think FS1 will be the one offering the idea for NXT to move over. Or if the rumors were killed off, and then later on, if someone does say, "You know what, I changed my mind," that's going to come from FS1, not WWE. Then again, I'm not there. No one's asked me, but that's just my take on it. But again, I have Some more details about the whole deal, Fox and WWE in particular, what's going to happen with SmackDown. We just talked about NXT and that front. So what's next? I have a quick little report from the Spotlight from their Facebook page. And how old is this, by the way? It's about a week old. Well, according to the Spotlight, the SmackDown will now be moving to Fridays and will be 3 hours on Fox. I guess that clarifies a previous rumor. But again, let's wait and see what happens. The Spotlight goes on to say that this will all take place in October of 2019. No word yet if the show will remain live. That was another curiosity and concern. They've done this before, and I think one of the reasons that they went live for the past couple of years is to avoid spoilers for one, and no one really does that anymore. You have your Impact Wrestlings and other independent promotions that have TV deals, not all local, but syndications at least, and their results get leaked out, and that's something that's been going on since the 90s. Only difference is that there wasn't social media and there wasn't the internet is as it is today, where you can maybe even live stream something that took place during a taped episode of Raw, and you already know what's going to happen the following Monday. So for them to not go live again after all these years, I think it's a bit of a gamble. That takes away I think Bischoff said it best, even though there's a lot of things I don't agree with what he has to say or what he believes in. But being live, it does give you that unpredictable environment. You don't know what's going to happen, and if there are last minute changes to the lineup or the script or the run sheet or what have you, and obviously you're not there to see that. They won't show that on TV, obviously, but once those unpredictabilities do occur, it adds something more. It adds more value and promise to the TV productions that anything can happen. Of course, you can't do that all the time, but here and there, once in a while, or say or do things that you don't see coming. Again, not all these good things that you can put out to help the show can be done all the time. They'll become stale. It'll become boring. A la WCW Nitro every single week. Everything ended in a smudge or a double disqualification. Titles never really changed hand as much as maybe they should have had NWO not interfered every damn Monday night. But I digress. The Spotlight goes on to say right now SmackDown tours from Saturdays to Tuesdays, and if we want all the shows to remain live, they can always start their tours on Fridays through Monday. That could work as well. Switch up their schedule as is. There'll be a lot of reshuffling going around. My only takeaway from this, even though as it stands, they do have live shows Fridays. Both brands usually, and if one is not working, then the other's off. And those that are off will get to go home and spend a little bit of time with their family before they hit the road again for weekend house shows. And I guess there have to be more readjusting. I know there's debates between Raw and SmackDown superstars, which one is the better schedule, even though they're virtually identical. But there are times when it's a co-branded live shows and not everyone gets to be used, and those could either go home or stick around. And I guess it depends on their contract as well, if they're obligated to show up even if you're not going to be used. Or then again, you don't know if you're not going to be used until you get there most of the time, or if you're told with a few days notice, then I'm making my plans, and Friday night I'm spending it with my family, and then I'll see you guys in Alaska on Saturday night, Sunday morning, whenever. There's more details to the SmackDown deal. for 5 years. Smackdown TV deal is for 5 years, and we'll move the show Friday nights at 3 hours. So here's another source that is confirming 3-hour Smackdown shows for $205 million a year. And this is Raw is also 3 times its current worth. So it's fair to say that new WWE TV deal is close to $500 million a year. This is from the Wrestling Inc. And yeah, I made mention that the full-fledged deal was about $1 billion, and this is just breaks it down a little bit on an annual basis. And to give SmackDown that extra hour, what timing too when the reports first started coming out, and that week's Raw had Sami Zayn and the 3 men in drag who are pretending to be Bobby Lashley's sisters. What a waste of time, and it was just boring. And that's just, I don't know how many brain cells died listening and watching that. And honestly, I know I'm not the only one included, but we saw something like that coming. We knew something like that was going to happen. And for what? To set up a match at Money in the Bank this past week on Raw. Well, to make it official anyway. My point here, and again, I'm not the only one, if this is something that moving forward we can expect with the new Fox deal next October, I guess that's what Fox thinks it's worth $1 billion to have some ridiculous content like that. And I'm more curious to see, because out of all the reports and all the stories I've seen and read, it wasn't specific as saying, hey, this is a sports deal or sports contract deal, or hell, not even an entertainment deal. At least I haven't seen it. Just deals between Fox and WWE were made this past week and blah, blah, blah. Okay, and worth $1 billion. Okay, but what kind of a deal? How much is Major League Baseball getting? Better yet, how much was UFC getting when they were still with Fox and FS1? And I just hope they really reconsider, and I know I'm asking for a lot here. If that's the kind of content they're going to put while airing on Fox next October, we, the audience, are going to end up being on the end of the short end of the stick. We're the ones that are going to have to suffer more with these ridiculous storylines, with content that doesn't make sense from one week into another, with the atrocity of the commentary and those seizure-like symptom zooming in and out camera views, thinking that it's going to add more to it. I cannot remember anyone from TV winning an Emmy Award, because the word on the town is that's what Kevin Dunn is really looking forward to ever winning in his lifetime, for an Emmy Award that included seizure-like symptom zooming in and out TV work. And the cutaways are ridiculous. And one good example, if you remember back in the day, and it always looked like it was done accidentally or naturally, where there's a brawl after a match, and so it's declared a DQ, and one particular cameraman is on the opposite side of the ring of the entrance of the rampway, and we see his point of view, and the face is getting beaten down by, let's say, 2 heels, and we're expecting a run, and we don't know who, we don't know when. Nowadays they'll just play the music of whoever the hero was going to be, and then cut immediately to see who it is running down the ramp. Before, you'll see vaguely in the background, I mean, back then it wasn't as much lighting as it is today, but you see just the curtain pop open, you see someone, you're not sure who it is, and then finally they get the spotlight on him maybe 3/4 of the way down the ramp, and it's, oh, here comes the Ultimate Warrior to make the save. And there's no music. You just listen to the crowd reaction naturally. And from that point of view of the cameraman, it cuts away to the hard camera, the wide shot, and you see the two heels stop and turn, and they get clotheslined or dumped out by the Warrior, for example. To me, that was more natural than what they have now, when they intentionally cut away. And was it this week? This week or last week on Raw? It was a women's match. Oh my goodness. I'm drawing a blank here, but basically, it was SmackDown. And Mandy Rose was facing Asuka. Okay, here we go. It was supposed to be Asuka and Mandy Rose. So Mandy Rose comes out first. She has that, glamorous looking entrance now. And here comes Asuka. She's about halfway down. And if you go back and watch, you'll notice it too, that as soon as Asuka's in camera view in the middle, and usually the cameraman walks backwards, keeping her in frame. Except this time, Asuka's about halfway down, and the camera starts panning, following Asuka towards the ring. And off screen, you see Sonya Deville just jumping from behind and leaves her laying. And and honestly, I saw it coming, as nowadays SmackDown in particular can be predictable. And it was almost as if the camera, for a split second, forgot to start following Asuka and not to show Sonya on screen during the rundown or during the run-in. And I'm like, why? I mean, the arena audience sees it. What difference does it make if we see it? And it's not like a detail that we're going to start, like I am here. Obviously, I'm just pointing out the changes and the best way to put it, the ridiculousness of all these camera shots nowadays. And I just wish they stopped doing this. I know my voice can only go so far, and it's just mind-boggling. It's not necessary. I know some people dig the 3D effects when they have those lasers, TV effects for the home viewing audience, but it's not in the arena, which doesn't make any sense. They could do without that zooming in, zooming out nonsense to add more. I mean, the shaky cam, all that stuff. It's not a movie, even though they say, well, we make movies here. I'm like, no, you don't. And if you do, they go straight to video, and no one sees them. So stop being something that you're not, and stop forcing us this sports entertainment crap, because it really isn't. It's either one or the other. You can't be both. And the fact that they got this $1 billion deal, and Fox Sports 1 and Fox in particular take their sports real serious. And I guess despite the low ratings this week, what was it, 2.4 for Raw this week, is more than enough to consider offering $1 billion deal for WWE to bring over Smackdown and maybe NXT and maybe another weekly show that would air on FS1 exclusively. So be what you're worth then. Between now and October, or I guess do whatever the hell you want, but once you start earning that $1 billion money for the next 5 years, then I say be what you're worth. Otherwise, I hope there's an out clause in their contracts. If the ratings don't improve or the content, and between USA and Fox, I don't know who takes more seriously the outcries of their audience, but I guess we'll find out. But $1 billion, yeah, just be what you're worth. Yeah. And the Hollywood Reporter, I'll end this bit with this much. Between the Hollywood Reporter and who's this? This is a random report here. Currently, the NBC deal with Raw and SmackDown to be on the USA Network currently is $130 million a year. It's a huge difference. The new NBC deal for Raw is expected to be $265 million per year for the next 10 years. So USA is going to keep Raw a little while longer. And this mess would be, this one mess would make WWE $2.65 million. Billion would it be? $2.65 billion. And here's actually two Hollywood Reporter stories. This is the first one. As NBC Universal were already to sign a new 10-year deal with WWE for $360 million to keep the rights to Raw and SmackDown, but then decided to opt and just take Raw and let SmackDown go to an open market. Fox then took SmackDown live and gave WWE $1 billion deal for it, and Fox's Rupert Murdoch was crucial into getting the deal done. Nick Khan, who is representing WWE in TV negotiations, was contacted by Fox and its chairman Peter Rice, who stated that WWE not make a deal with NBC Universal, and that Fox wanted to meet with the company immediately after the rights to SmackDown. On May 16th, as it turns out, the show got on the open market, and Triple H and Stephanie, Michelle Wilson, and George Burroughs were meeting with Fox the next day to hear Fox's pitch for SmackDown. And the report goes on to say that the pitch also indicated a weekly WWE studio show on FS1 as well. At the meeting, there were Fox TV screens in the room that featured WWE photos, including Ronda Rousey shots, with the Fox and FS1's logos together, showing how the potential merger of the two sides would look like. Fox will also soon be finalizing their deal with Disney to give them their movie studio and their assets. Earlier in the year, Fox let go of UFC, with the thought being they couldn't sell that kind of product to advertisers. But with WWE being more family friendly, sale pitches went through the roof and made it that much easier. So that makes sense. If kind of makes you wonder if Fox didn't think UFC would draw in not much of an audience because they one that's family friendly compared to WWE, then I guess timing, right? Timing that their contract was expiring the same time that the contract with SmackDown in particular, better yet, WWE and Universal NBC USA Networks was coming up as well. And it's just good timing. And who else can pick up SmackDown? Who would want to pick up SmackDown? Definitely not Paramount. Definitely not Freeform or Destination America or pretty much any other network where pro wrestling has failed. And probably for the better considering how things turned out. And yeah, I'm aware that I'm referencing only Impact at that time because if anything, they are a great example of what not to do, among other things like lie to your producers, lie to your network, the owners, the directors, the CEOs, and put out emails calling them morons and a bunch of idiots. Yeah, that's things you don't do, especially when it's coming time for contract renewals. But to each his own, I guess. And I don't even know if we want to mention the rest of this bit here in regards to the Fox WWE deal. It's pretty similar to what I just said. I'll add this bit, I guess. One of the biggest quotes from the meeting, the same one that I referred to according to the Hollywood Reporter, one of the biggest quotes from the meeting came from Murdoch, who reportedly said, NBC Universal was embarrassed by your product. He goes on to say, Fox added the allure of treating WWE as part of their content packages, giving the proposed weekly show promotion across all of their broadcasts, which include NFL and MLB sports. That was a head scratcher. What Murdoch was trying to refer to as embarrassed by your product, possibly referring to the USA Networks, which wouldn't make sense because they've had deals and negotiations for many, many years, including Saturday Night's Main Event, of course, the XFL, that's the best example I can think of right now. And what exactly do you mean by embarrassed by your product? I never got that, but this was in one of the articles from the Hollywood Reporter. Even they didn't specify to what they were referring to, but apparently or allegedly this all took place during this May 17th meeting between Fox executives and WWE executives, including Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. So I'll keep my eye open for this one. Otherwise, it's just just some random statement or comment to make to make them, WWE realize, like, well, they're not always on par with you, so let's lighten the load or make it less stressful for you, and we'll make deals with you as far as SmackDown goes. And the report goes on to say, and I'll finish with this: if both sides deals close as expected, starting on October 2019, Fox will broadcast SmackDown for 5 years. And the Hollywood Reporter also reports that NBC Universal will continue with Raw, paying $265 million, according to sources, with the two deals valued at $2.35 million. So, okay, this one's off by this was off by a few dollars here, but for the next 5 years. And this is a huge increase over the $130 million WWE deal is getting for the current NBC Universal contract. So, sounds like an auction, and Fox wins. And we'll see what the, among other things, what the deal will bring to you or to us as an audience coming October 2019. And we'll also find out if it's going to be on Friday nights for SmackDown and whether or not it will be for 3 hours. In other news, former Tough Enough competitor and winner Matt Cappotelli has recently discontinued all cancer treatments after a decade-plus battle with a form of brain cancer known as GBM. And he has the grade level 4 of the unfortunate tumor, and it is the most aggressive and deadliest form of brain cancer there is. This is unfortunate news, but WrestleZone reported that Cappotelli's wife, Lindsay, has released a heartfelt blog detailing the struggles associated with Matt's declining health. There is also a GoFundMe page set up if anyone wants to contribute and donate. It's GoFundMe.com/Matt's Biggest Battle. That's Matt with 2 T's. GoFundMe.com/Matt's Biggest Battle. Their goal currently is $500,000, and as of this recording, it's up to $32,002 from the past 10 months. And it has some pictures of before and after Matt Cappotelli's last surgery in an attempt to remove the brain tumor, but unfortunately it resurfaced. And as I mentioned, he's discontinued all treatments. I'll read her, Mr. Cappotelli's wife's, Lindsay's, blog here verbatim. Matt Cappotelli, excuse me, I apologize. I'm always really bad pronouncing names, so I'll try that again. Matt Cappotelli is a 37-year-old former WWE wrestler and Tough Enough 3 champion who is battling brain cancer for the second time in his young life. Back in 2006, he was diagnosed with a grade 2 glioma, which ended his wrestling career. Most of the tumor was successfully removed in 2007. He was then treated with radiation and 2 years of chemotherapy. Unfortunately, last month, after nearly 10 years of being in remission, his brain tumor returned in a much more aggressive form. And in June of 2017, it was discovered that Matt's brain tumor has returned as a grade 4 GBM, which is the most aggressive and deadliest form of brain cancer. He and his family are currently seeking out treatment options to help conquer the biggest battle of his life. Their strong faith in God has not wavered and has inspired thousands of people. This GoFundMe has been created to assist the Cappotellis in that battle. Let's go #Team Cap. Cap with 2 P's, as per his last name. Cappotelli also has 2 P's. This is unfortunate, and Matt was a great wrestler. I mean, he learned a lot from day one I'm referring to his time in Tough Enough, and he really elevated. And of course, everyone remembers the whole Bob Holly story with Matt Capitelli, which I'm not going to get into. I think that story's been told enough, and both sides have been heard enough. Yeah, this really sucks, and my thoughts and prayers go out to Capitelli's family and wife Lindsay. I really hope they do reach their goals, not only in their GoFundMe page, but also a way to battle this horrific disease and this brain tumor. And hell, even after going through the first time, the first surgery was life battling enough as it was. And for those who have seen the scars of battle, if you will, he proved that he could fight. He proved that he can put up a great fight against this. And for whatever reason, it decided to return. She mentioned in her blog, most of it was removed, and maybe it wasn't enough, or maybe doctors felt that, if we remove any more, it could affect other parts of the brains. And I'm not a doctor. I'm just assuming, speaking to other individuals who have had similar situations, similar health scares, and openly discussing their experiences with it, and how the doctors explain it by detail of what they've done to, I guess in this case, a brain tumor being removed. I know being removed from other parts of the body can be very delicate and at times even dangerous, because they could be too close to, body organs or other places that if it's hemorrhaged, you can bleed internally, and it's a risk. And him to put up a second fight with it, I hope Matt really pulls through, and that even if he doesn't get back into the ring, I really hope that we can see him in some capacity sometime soon and give us at least a survival speech when all of this is said and done. And being only 37 years old, gonna kind of break the fourth wall here. I just turned 40, and I myself had a health scare early in the year. Thankfully, I'm in the clear now, and I'm getting to do what I like to do, as, for example, the JM Report, among other things. And like the old saying goes, and it may sound cliche to some, but where there's a will, there's a way. And never give up. Always fight the good fights. And this is one that's definitely worth fighting for, especially being surrounded by so many loved ones. Matt deserves to defeat this thing and still be with us a lot longer than he's meant for. And I think he can still contribute something in some capacity to the pro wrestling business. Obviously, that's not on his mind right now, but when the time comes, maybe that discussion can be brought up again and see where his feet land. So good luck out there, Matt. Shout outs to his family, his wife, Lindsay, and give him hell. Former WWE superstar Jack Swagger. There's a name from the past. I mentioned this over at the BKC Radio Network's The Squawk podcast show. I'll say about a year ago now, that he's pursuing a MMA career. And he was signed earlier this year. Late last year, I would say. That Jack Swagger has signed with Bellator in their heavyweight division. And now he is set to debut by the end of this year, according to the MMA journalist Ariel Anawani. He's a big fan of pro wrestling and MMA. Shout outs to Ariel. He's also revealing information via his Twitter account, noting that Swagger is still ongoing mixed martial arts training while he's continuing to wrestle. In other words, he's still taking bookings in the independent circuit. Jack Swagger is, and training for an MMA career. And he's about mid to late 30s. I apologize, I lost count of that. Not that I keep track of everyone's age, but Jack Swagger, in all fairness and seriousness, he's a great natural athlete, and had WWE giving him a little bit more time and some, I guess, more detail and more attention, in his craft in the ring, maybe not so much in his promos. And I guess along with all that goes, his acting wasn't always the greatest, but inside the ring, he was great. And his brief run with the World Heavyweight title that ended in, what was it, WrestleMania 29 with Alberto Del Rio. Bad timing, was unfortunate, as he was charged with possession of illegal substances at the time. And that all but ended his title run. I mean, you know, it happens. Happened to Rob Van Dam. It happened to Ric Flair. And, you know, when you're on such a high, no pun intended, and you're in a position as a world champion in this case, you know, you got to cover your tracks, or CYA, or, you know, at least second guess what you're going to do. And more times than none, we will hear about DWIs or DUIs from pro wrestlers, and they will find out later on that he or she were under different types of influences, not just alcohol, and either they were already they were either a world champion at that time, or they were about to wrestle for the title, and chances are they were going to go over, and all it does is just take away that opportunity because, you know, you couldn't behave yourself, or, you know, force a habit because you needed something to stay awake to make that drive from one town to another. I get it. I'm currently in a position where I got to drive from one county into another for my current employment, and it's about an hour and a half drive on a good day. You know, so for example, if I gotta be there by 12, then for my house, maybe. And I know it's not early for a lot of people, but to establish stability and a good time frame, you know, I'll usually get up between 8 and 9 a.m. and I'm heading out the door by 10 to add that extra time, because out here there's traffic, not as heavy as say in New York or Chicago, but traffic mostly caused from car accidents. And again, these things happen, but I put in that extra effort, and right now I'm not taking anything to keep me awake, and I do at times find myself with the heavy eyes, and I gotta pull over. I have to pull over looking for those rest stops, those rest areas, and I give myself 10, 15 minutes, you know, snap out of it, maybe splash some water in my face. If it's raining, you know, it's even a plus, and I'll continue. And I try really hard not to you know, make my employer disappointed in any way, especially either showing up late or sleeping on a job. But lessons have been learned, hopefully, not only for Jack Swagger in this case, not only for myself, for others, that got to put in that extra time. Every time you say you don't have time to spare, time, like it's all nonsense. That time you taken up to make that argument is time wasted that you could have used for spare time. If you got to make an email and it will take you about 5-10 minutes, but you haven't set it up yet, but here comes Mother Nature calling and you got to go potty, then take those 5-10 minutes, take your smartphone or tablet, whatever smart device with you, and type it out and send. Do they have to know exactly where it came from? No, but you met your deadline through an email. I mean, personally, I'm just tired of these excuses. Oh, I didn't have time, and the entire day goes by. My only day off is Sunday, and I'm not even maybe half a Sunday is my time off, and even then, I'm still putting together materials for, you know, for example, my JM reports here, or during the week, to help my employer with their board operations and mixing board, to make sure everything sounds and is presented the best possible quantity there is. And yeah, I know when I'm burnt out, I'm burnt out, and it's all part of human life. You know, there's only so much that we can do. We're not going to be Iron Man or Iron Women. We can't always rely on those energy drinks and caffeine. You know, honestly, I think I'm immune to them. They don't work for me anymore. So if I need be, got to find a new source for that to keep me awake for maybe a couple hours. Those 5-hour energy drinks, no, they don't work for me. So May or may not be a health issue, but I'm just saying, I'm being open, really opened up here and sharing my experiences, but, it happens. But good luck to Jack Swagger in his MMA career with Bellator. I hope it works out. Hopefully he can be successful, such as maybe a Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley. I know Batista's retired, undefeated, 1-0. Way to go, Batista. And we'll see. If I think Bellator the way I think I do, and they want to debut a name such as Jack Swagger, the more than likely we'll have him on whichever date or whichever scheduled date it is that time of year when they're debuting him to be on Paramount Network live TV for everyone to see. And hopefully whoever his opponent is, get his ass kicked and be in line for a title shot real soon, maybe another year from now, maybe next summer, next winter, whenever. But Jack Swagger has all the tools for a successful MMA fighter. According to PW Insider, Eli Drake and Impact Wrestling are currently discussing new terms for a new deal. And it was noted earlier this past week during an interview with Drake, implying that his contract was up this weekend, but there is a current offer on the table for Drake. This weekend, either today or tomorrow, maybe even Sunday. Even as of this recording, there is no word of Eli Drake re-signing with Impact Wrestling at all. PW Insider goes on to say, also noted that that it has not been confirmed that Drake has agreed to terms of the current offer. Impact Wrestling is currently scheduled to tape content this weekend in Canada at events co-promoted by Destiny Wrestling, and Drake, Eli Drake will compete on tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling. As in tonight being taped, and his opponent will be Scott Steiner. There's a name I haven't heard in a while, Scott Steiner, for that matter, Rick Steiner. I've met both men before simultaneously at a signing as the Steiner brothers, and I gotta say, real gentle giants, if you will, especially Rick. I gotta share this one story. Also at that meet and greet was Larry Zbyszko, and I've just finished taking a picture and getting an autograph from Zbyszko, and we just started talking about old Nitro stuff, and he was talking about his angle with Bischoff and on his on-air chemistry with Dusty Rhodes at the time when he jumped ship to the NWO. And all of a sudden, you see Rick Steiner coming up, shaking Zbyszko's hand, giving him a big hug, saying things like, it's nice to see you, been a while. When you get a chance, come over to my table, we'll talk, we'll catch up, and this and that. And Larry's just standing there, okay, buddy, yeah, whatever you say, good times, I'll make it when I can. So Rick leaves, and then Zbyszko has this puzzled look on his face, and he literally turns to me and asks, who the hell was that guy? and I'm looking at him like, serious. I don't know anything personal about Larry Zbyszko other than what's been on television and what he shared on shoot interviews. But my expression was something close to like, are you serious? And in all fairness, Rick Steiner can be unrecognizable without his headgear on or his headband on, and he was sporting this bit of a scruffy look. It looked like he just literally woke up. Rick Steiner did, but that was his style for the day, I guess. But anyway, after Zbyszko asked me who that was, I'm like, oh, that was Rick Steiner. And he was like, are you kidding me? That was Rick? I'm like, yeah, you didn't recognize him? Not so much I didn't recognize him, I didn't know who the hell he was. So that's I guess would be a good rib later on, but I will probably have to be included in that story. But it's good to know at times like that when they're not in character and they're not portraying, even if it's the same name character, that they're human beings too. And Rick Steiner just walking up to, another man saying hi and long time no see, and Larry not having a shred of idea who that was. It was a fun feeling. I'm not insinuating anything. Then again, this was about 2 years ago. I'm not insinuating that Larry has memory loss or amnesia or anything like that. I would have to say that Rick just wasn't recognizable. But the point of all this is that they're great guys for a long time. I was not a Larry Zbyszko fan because he just kept sticking it to WWE at the time, doing the Monday Night Wars about how much Raw sucked and you should be watching that show and blah blah blah. Of course, years later, all of us, at least most of us, wised up and I guess got in on a joke, so to speak. Got in on the terms of what really was going on, and not only was all for business, but there were a couple of people pulling other people's strings and were told certain things to say and then certain things to do. And if ever given the opportunity, I think I would share that part of the story with Larry Zbyszko. I think he was a great guy. He still is, and maybe who knows, be a guest here. Or anyone, I'm working on that as well. One day I'll have a guest here with me in the JM Report, and they can share their stories as well. Speaking of all-time greats, The Undertaker finally has a social media account. Officially, no joke. Before all of this, matter of fact, it'll be just his wife Michelle just posting on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I think mostly on Twitter and Instagram. But earlier this week, Undertaker's officially opened up a new Instagram account, and it's simply Undertaker. Just make sure you look for that blue check mark. And as of last night, he only has one picture posted. So don't know if this is just going to be in character or he's going to share anything, personal behind the scenes. Like, again, Michelle would post workout pictures of The Undertaker at the gym or at home. Usually, not usually, but there are some times where fans would post pictures and Michelle herself would take pictures with her own phone or with her own smart device and post those on her Twitter account and just tag everyone that's involved. So I'm just curious to see what kind of exactly an account this would be for The Undertaker on Instagram. But finally, there is something for him, his own personal one, and not have something under his name that's declared an official account, but he's not the one making any other posting. He's not the one putting up any kind of text suggesting anything as far as what the picture that goes along with that message, or this Sunday I'm gonna see you at WrestleMania, things like that. Don't fall for all of that. 9 out of 10 times, it's not the same person doing the posting on their own behalf. It's someone else in the company or maybe an assistant, and it's just disappointing to know that it's not always them. And there's proof of that when who was it? It was one of the women wrestlers not too long ago. It was either Paige, Sasha, or Bailey. They were involved in oh my goodness, what was it? It wasn't a triple threat, but oh my goodness. Well, for the sake of this argument, I'm going to say it was Bailey, and she was in the ring, live television. It was a pay-per-view, and all of a sudden, there's a notification on her Twitter account indicating that she's about to head out to the ring and wrestle. I think it was Sasha Banks at the time, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is live. The match has been going on for about 10 minutes or more or less, and the tweet just went out. How is she doing this on her own official account? Again, that's a case of obviously maybe an assistant or a friend of hers doing the posting on their behalf. I know WWE do that all the time on their own account, but they don't make it sound like as if a WWE executive is in the match, involved with the match, and take a minute to send out a tweet. But personally, it's just disappointing knowing that it's not always them. I think it's more meaningful and it carries a lot of weight that the person you're following on whichever social media account is authentic enough to post on their own and say, hey, I just had a bologna sandwich today and here's a picture of it with after one bite. And now I'm having a diet soda. So that's just me. As the saying goes, keep it real. Well, I mean, can you keep it more real, more realer, if that's even a word, by having those actual individuals doing all the posting. And if not, save it for later. Save it for after the match, or save it when you get back to the hotel, or whatever the case is. But if it comes from you, and we know that, then it's that more special than reading a post that the timeline doesn't line up and it just doesn't make any sense. But to each his own. What can you do? And I'll end with this. It's been not a slow week. I know there's a lot of NXT stuff going on. I know there's a lot of Ring of Honor stuff. I'm aware that I haven't really touched on anything All In that's happening on September 1st. I know there's been a lot of CM Punk talk. This week it's been pretty much shadowed by certain comments made, whether on air television or through social media, making a few bad jokes, very bad, tasteful jokes, and basically apologizing for it the rest of the day or 24 hours later. And, I really don't want to poison my show with those individuals. I mean, there's no room for that here or anywhere at any time. Hell, even privately, but, unless you're aware Big Brother's watching, then, I guess do or say whatever you want at home. But once it's public and it's as harsh as you may or may not intended it to be, you're done, or you're going to be done. But I guess that'll be today's life lesson. And I'll end with this last story, if I could find it here. No, where'd you go? I got my pages all mixed up here, folks. I apologize, but here we are. Okay. The now former Ring of Honor star, Deonna Purrazzo, has signed a new contract with WWE. When signing with Ring of Honor, Purrazzo signed a 6-month contract with the company, but decided to opt out to make her way to the WWE, and she is slated to start this summer. Congratulations are in order. I'm not too familiar with Purrazzo, but didn't she? Yeah, I believe she did. Had a previous run with NXT. She was one of Adam Rose's Rosebuds, and this was a few years ago. 2014, 2015. I read about a match that she had with Nia Jax when she was still in NXT, and maybe even Asuka. My memory is a little frail right now. Yeah, this coming after Larry Zbyszko wasn't recognizing Rick Steiner here, and here I am, right? But Purrazzo did have a previous run with NXT, as short as it was. She jumped around a bit, as mentioned, Ring of Honor, and even right before that in Impact Wrestling, being part of the Total Knockouts division, having matches with Madison Rayne and Laurel Van Nys. Even Awesome Kong, when I believe Awesome Kong made her return to Impact, and then of course went through Ring of Honor, and now she's making a return to NXT, which is great. And I believe this past week, Purrazzo reported to the WWE Performance Center to get back into, I guess, NXT ring shape. I mean, you can have, and this I know I can speak with from experience. You can have all the talent and experience and the physical paralysis, as they say, to be inside of a wrestling ring. Not too much difference when you go from one company to another, but chances are the ring is going to be different. and some can be harder than others. Others can be bigger than the other. The distance between all three ropes can be wider or higher in this case. And it's just something that you have to readjust yourself to. And instead of taking that 10-foot drop, you're making it 12 and 15 at times if you're in a steel cage. And it doesn't sound like much, but your body's accustomed one way for so long, and now it's realizing that it's taking out, it's absorbing more impact moves than it used to maybe about a week or so ago. And now here you are doing bigger ones and higher ones and more bigger ones and more impactful. So yeah, you have to readjust. I know some ring competitors, some great ones such as AJ Styles. I know people were curious to see how he was able to basically skip over NXT. It's not always the case that you have to go through NXT, say like a Ricochet or Kevin Owens. It's just a matter of the kind of character you bring to the table. And in AJ Styles' case, he had such great experience. Of course, Kevin Owens as well. But the difference there is the timing for AJ Styles. What better way to debut him than just a few days away from his Impact deal at the time, and just debut him at the Royal Rumble, where Kevin Owens, he was a Ring of Honor, right? And just came down and debuted in NXT. So it was just a matter of timing. And let's say, for example, had Kevin Owens debuted somewhere between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, it's a big time show and it still holds ground. The big four name pay-per-views. I believe they could have done something like that, but again, since it was in between and it's such a large gap into the next one, AJ Styles just had a better deal timing wise, and Kevin Owens just had to sit it out a little while longer. And if anything, I believe Kevin Owens was spending the least amount of time in NXT before Rusev got injured and pretty much picked up the responsibilities that he had, and Kevin Owens took over. That was when the feud started with him and John Cena, and still having his issues with Sami Zayn back in NXT, and we're starting another feud with Samoa Joe. So Kevin Owens was a big deal for a while there, and having 2 or 3 different feuds going on at the same time speaks volumes for him. But in the case of Paparazzo, Paparazzo, again, I apologize. Purazzo, coming over to NXT, or in this case, returning back to NXT, I think it's a great opportunity for her. Hopefully, when her time comes to re-debut on NXT TV, that it becomes a big deal, and maybe push forward to partake in the Mae Young Classic tournament again. And those ideas were scrapped. I was going to start talking about another international tournament involving the men, but we first got to go through the UK tournament in a couple of weeks, and then I think in July is when the Mae Young Classic comes back. So there's quite a few busy tours coming up for NXT, and hopefully for everyone involved, men and women, they kick ass and do what they do best in the ring, and using any and all momentum. And I still stand by, I'll see what happens. Well, let's see what happens. NXT being picked up by Fox Sports 1, and give it their all. I say it's been a long time since we actually had pro wrestling on a sports broadcast like that. We're going way back now here, folks. Remember Sports Channel and how they used to carry ESPN wrestling as well? They had for a while was the AWA, and then it was the UWF, I believe. And where did the AWF broadcast? There was a promotion, CBS picked it up on late night weekends. Not too late night, but late enough, you probably won't stay up to watch the whole bit unless you record it on VHS. So there's a throwback for you. I believe it was the AWF, the American Wrestling Federation, where Tito Santana was their world champion, and they had the round system. Just anything to be competitive and be at a level with WWE or WCW at the time. I'll give all those promoters and all those involved an A for effort. Definitely anyone who tries to be as competitive, or even standing on your own, which I think is the way to go. Stand apart from your obvious competition, but at the same time, you're not necessarily competing with them. You're doing the same thing in a sense, but it's different to a point where you stand out. And I don't mean that by the TV rating or the content you put out. Maybe you could do actually more wrestling than you do in-ring promos or backstage interviews or 3-hour-long shows, and only maybe an hour and 10 minutes of it is actual wrestling. But that'll be another argument for another day. So I want to thank everyone for joining me here on the JM Report. If you like what you hear, be sure to click that like button, comment below, and subscribe to all my other social media networks across the board as listed in the description. And until next time, I can't believe it's only been 10 episodes, but, baby steps. And I want to thank everyone who's been supportive and those who've been with me since day one.